Before go to the session, so let's try to understand like what we are trying to cover today. So the topic was like building agents, AI applications, and tools. But why we need to build AI applications? So we have to first need to establish a motivation for that, right? So why we need to build? So we are trying to do AI transformation, and we will discuss what is AI transformation, and also we will take example and business example and try to use that and say how we can do the AI transformation step by step with that business use case. And then Anjana will basically bring in a WSO integrator to save us all, because when we want to implement that in real life, we need the toolkit to develop that, right? So, and then we will basically demonstrate and how we do the AI transformation using WSO integrator. So this is going to be the story. I don't want to reveal a lot of stuff. That's why I kept it brief. But now let's try to understand what is the AI transformation. I mean, this is like it's not a like well adapted term, but it's there already, and people are discussing about this. So the basic idea is now you have a lot of business operations, you have a lot of things that happening in your organization. Now, can you use AI and enhance those operations so you will have more productivity, more efficiency, or a better user experience? And also, it can be like unlocking new capabilities that wasn't possible before. And why AI is important in this scenario? Because AI is actually has become a very powerful tool with the generative AI, right? So now we can build a lot of stuff that we couldn't build before. In previously, we couldn't even do a chatbot usually unless we have like a lot of rule-based or knowledge-based kind of systems. Now, building a chatbot is just a matter of like writing a prompt, connecting to LLM, just have a subscription, just need to have like $5, and still you can build a chatbot and try it out. You don't even need like a lot of money. And why now? And that's all because of that, because we have a lot of opportunities now. The new capabilities are there. So you have to basically make use of that and basically transform your business with AI. Otherwise, others will do that, and you will end up losing the race, because there is a race now happening, because everybody is trying to use AI so they can transform their business into a better business, better operation, and that's why we need it. And it's not a choice, of course, right? Because we have to catch up. I mean, even if you don't want to do it, still you will have to do it to catch up with others. Otherwise, you can't survive now. And then, of course, how we can do it, right? So which we will actually discuss step by step during this session. So to actually go through this session, we will introduce this business scenario, which we call as O2 Travels. That's actually a business or a platform that help customers to plan their vacations or their trips, right? And then do the reservations, like for example, the hotel reservations. So with this platform, currently customers can do the hotel discovery, and also they can do the availability of the hotels or the rooms real time, and also do a reservation, and again, basically write or read reviews so they can get understanding of what they want to basically reserve. So they can do these functionalities. I think you all are familiar with this. If you have used like booking.com, those kind of a platform, this is what actually they do, right? And this is going to be the user experience. You have a static web page where you can basically explore and add certain filters and basically get whatever the available hotels. And this is going to be the experience, right? So this is what we usually have. And this is going to be the architecture we are going to have in our business now. We have a hotel API, search API, booking API, review API, and all these APIs are connecting to our internal databases where we have the hotel database, and we have a booking database which will connect to the booking API, and also we have a bunch of portals that we expose these capabilities to the customers. For example, we have the hotel owners who will try to register their hotels. So they will connect to the registration portal, and that will go through the hotel API, and basically we will have that in our DB then. And it's actually the customers who want to plan their trip, book their trip. If they want to come and basically do that operation, then they have the booking portal. They'll use that, right? So this is actually a business scenario we have already, familiar with, right? So this is what we have right now. And this is going to be our system. And now we have to think how we can apply a transformation on top of this existing business APIs. And of course, we shouldn't forget about the data, because data is our strategy asset, right? That's the asset, actually. So whatever you have, for example, you have the booking history of our customers, and we have the search behaviors, we have their reviews, all those things we have already in our hand, right? So we have to make use of that. That's the asset we have. And also we have other information like the hotel information, trends happening, seasonal patterns, also some external data, maybe the weather, events happening, all those stuff, right? So those are also very important information that we can make use of when we are building this kind of, I didn't say what we are going to build, but it's going to be useful, right? If we have to think of how we can make use of this information, because we have AI capabilities that can do that now. Now let's discuss like how we can actually do the AI transformation. So before moving to the code, we will try to come up with a vision that we want to implement, because we can't just directly jump to the code, right? That's not the process. So we have to come up with a vision where we want to reach. So where we want to reach now with this business is, we need to have an intelligent, interactive experience that we can give to the users, so they can go and do a trip planning. They can basically say, this is my budget, this is what I want, and this is going to be my, the activities that I'm looking for. So those kind of things they can say to the system, and they can get a good trip plan, and then they can basically do the reservations or bookings following that plan. So that kind of experience. And also, we have this strategic data. I mentioned them earlier. So we want to make use of them and then basically give a better experience to our customers. For example, if you know about their booking patterns or what they like, we can make good suggestions to them, right? That's what actually we are doing in our WSO2 application as well. We make use of what your interests are, and when we are trying to use that to give suggestions, so you know which sessions that you can attend in your mobile application. And now the key question here we can ask here is, can we achieve this transformation without touching the business APIs? So of course there are two ways. One way is you go and basically throw away all the APIs you have, and then come up with a set of APIs or system, whatever, integrations, and then consider that as your new experience. But that's too risky, because we are still in a domain that there are a lot of unknowns, there are a lot of possibilities. We don't want to just throw away what we have right now. We want to keep it there, because even customers are in a transition period. We don't know whether customers will like if we have a chat experience, we don't know whether they will like it, right? Maybe they don't like it. Maybe they want the all portal. So we don't want to throw away that. We don't want to throw away the existing business. We want to keep it as it is. But on top of that, can we bring our new capabilities? So that's a good question to ask if we're actually doing a AI transformation. And we will kind of showcase like what will be the end product look like. I think Anjana can basically take us through the demo. So we already have a website set up for that, and of course we have logged in, so we know who you are in this setting. And this is the current flow we have right now, and we want to improve that. And there is a AI assistant tab on the top, so that's where actually we will give the new experience to our users. So let's go there. And here it will basically explain like what are the capabilities that is available to you, because we can't just give a chat and say, okay, figure it out, right? So it will give some information, and then they can start chatting. I think we have to start the backends, right? Yeah. Okay. So this is the AI agent that we have built, and so that should happen behind the scenes, but we are starting it now. And once we have it, we can try out the capabilities and see like what would the experience would look like actually. Okay, we have the chat experience. So let's ask something like plan a trip. So yeah, I'm not sure whether everybody can see. Can we maybe zoom it? No, zoom it more. Zoom it. I think it's okay. Okay. I know like now the UX is like messed up, but we have to do it for the visibility. Sorry. So let's ask this. So you're asking like plan me a trip to Sri Lanka, 5-day trip, and we don't. I think it's 5 day, right? So we don't give any other information like what I like, because I expect the system to know about those stuff. Now, can we just zoom in a little bit because we can see what we have at the top? So here in the top is say, here we have the 5-day trip itinerary for you, and it's tailored for your preference. So the guy, whoever basically asking this question, he has already booked like a lot of eco-friendly hotels in the past, and he has basically booked hotel around hiking places. So we know in the system, we know he love hiking, he love nature. So we have seen that in his reviews, in his booking patterns. So we know those stuff, and that information has been fed to the system. And now basically, it says, okay, this is tailored for your eco-friendly preferences and love for nature, adventure, and that's how basically the system is suggesting us these recommendations. Like these are the hotels that you can visit, and these are the places that you should visit around these hotels. I think another thing we can do is we can ask like a hotel specific question, right? Or we can try to book a hotel. But let's try to book a hotel. Yeah. So let's agree with this plan and say, okay, go ahead and do the booking. And this is like a kind of a critical operation. Ideally, agents shouldn't do it without any consent or authorization. But now we are doing it because in this session we are not covering that part, but that will be covered in the next session. So in next session, our speakers will show how we can actually manage these kind of scenarios and get the user authorized, so that agent will not do things that are unwanted. So it has, I think, proceeded with it, right? I don't see actually the responses here. I'm not sure that the audience can see also. So it's giving us the confirmation number. So it has done, go ahead with the booking. And it has booked 2 or 3 hotels? 2 hotels, right? So, and this is the experience. And also another thing we can try out is we can ask a hotel-specific question. In our portal, we can't do that. If we want to do that, even with booking.com, if you want to ask a hotel-specific question, you have to go through this contact hotel forum, right? So you have to, it's like the contact us. So you have to ask that question and then wait until the hotel agent or whoever, the human representative from that end reach you back. So that's the usual process. But we don't want to do that anymore. We want to be able, the AI to be able to answer those questions without any waiting time. So we can ask some question. I'm not sure. Okay, what?
I'll ask about the pet policy.
Okay, we'll ask about the pet policy for a given hotel, one of the hotels. That's good. Okay, now it's giving us an answer saying, okay, Knuckles Wilderness Lodge, they allow pets, small dogs and cats up to 7 kilos. Okay, you have to wait your dog before you're going. And there's a cleaning fee. Okay, yeah. So, of course, so they allow it. So we are good to go then, right? Okay. Now, so we look at like what's the experience or what's the vision that we have now, right? So now what we need to look at is how we can achieve that vision, because we know where we want to go, but we need to figure out how we can reach there. So yes, so we look at the AI-powered tip planner, And that was capable doing natural conversations, booking trips, and also smart assistants to basically understand your preferences even without giving that information. And also, you were able to ask hotel-specific questions. Now, there are a set of architecture considerations, right? First, to build this kind of experience, what we need? Do we need a GenAI workflow? Do we need a retrieval-augmented generation? If you attended the previous session, we discussed about this concept in detail. Or do we need an agent? So we have to ask these questions, and what are the right questions to ask to figure this out? Because this is very important. You can't, if you figure this, you don't figure this out and do something, it's going to be costly for you to roll back. So let's think, okay, can we use a GenAI integration here? Because what we said in our previous session, whenever possible, you have to use GenAI integrations. Don't go to the agent, because the agent will introduce a lot of other problems. So, of course, if you give this kind of question, like I want to plan a 5-day trip, GenAI can basically understand the request and also generate a useful response saying, okay, great, based on your preferences, if we have given the preferences, this is what I can recommend. And that's based on whatever the information given to the model or whatever the model knows. And that's all what it can do. It can't go beyond that. It can't get the hotel availability real time if we haven't provided that information. We can't give the hotel availability for all the hotels to the prompt, right? That's not practical. We can't, that GenAI integration cannot actually do actual booking. We just can answer questions, but it can't do that operation. And also, the personalization across the session won't happen also, because now this GenAI integration, it may have access to what we have provided as the personalization information, but that's it, right? It can't remember you. The agent can remember you, but this GenAI integration, it can't. And that's why we need AI agent for this scenario. And because we have to reason and act dynamically, we also have to connect to business APIs like the booking API, and also we have to leverage the personalization. So we have to basically get an autonomous system, right, to do this thing. So that's why we need AI agent. I don't think like it's very difficult to determine, but I just wanted to go through the process so we can follow that process when we are designing other applications as well. So the architecture would look like this. So we have the core business APIs again. They are in the yellow: search API, booking API, and review API. And then we have the trip plan agent, which we are planning to build. And it has to be connected to some user personalization data, which we need to have somehow. And also it has to connect to the contact hotel. And we will, because it has to get the hotel-specific questions, right? Answers to the hotel-specific questions. And right now, if we connect it to the contact hotel, that means it's still, the agent will have to wait for the human representative to answer back to the contact hotel forum, right? In this scenario. Let's sort it out step by step. So we have two components now: the user personalization data and the contact hotel forum. So those are the things that we are having a bit of a trouble now, because we don't know where the user personalization data comes, because we have raw data, but we don't have personalization data yet. And also, we don't want agent to wait until the hotel representative answers. And that means like agent will have to wait and the user will have to wait, so it's not going to solve the problem again. So we have to basically do something for that as well. So we have to use AI. So we have two components. So let's first try to figure out like how we can do the personalization. So in that case, now we have this strategic data. For example, I explained earlier, we have the booking history, we have the search behaviors, we also have the reviews, right? So we have all those information. And now, can we use that information with generative AI and transform that information into some personalization reports, personalization profiles that are actually useful to build this scenario? And technically, okay, so the other question we could ask is, now, earlier case, we decided like we are going to use an AI agent, right? So can you use AI agent here also? Do we need AI agent really? Technically, we can use AI agent, but we don't know. So we don't want it. It's an overkill. in this scenario, actually, we know what we have to build. We know the workflow. So we can do a simple integration. Without AI agent, we can figure it out. So the ideal pattern we would require in this scenario is a generative AI workflow. And how we would build that is, it's very simple. We will talk to our admin APIs because we can't talk to the users. I mean, whatever the APIs that are used by the user portal, that API is authorized by the user's token, right? So user has to basically give authorization to use those APIs. But we have an admin portal that can be used by the admins to basically look at the reviews or a booking history for a certain user, given the user's ID or something. And we can use that API and fetch all the booking history and the reviews given by that user, and then use a GenAI workflow in the middle. That means that basically you use that information in the generative AI prompt, and then do a generation of a user profile. And that's simple as it is, and then you just have to push that to the our database. And that profile will look like something like this. So it will have like, these are John's activity report, and he likes the warm weather, he likes hiking, rock climbing, he likes hotels that have eco-friendly, gym capabilities, all those stuff, and also he doesn't like red meat. So all those preferences that we taken from his previous booking experiences. Okay, now when we have the personalization, our system architecture will be extended to this, right? So we have the trip plan agent, and that try to get the personalization information from the database. And before that is accessing the database, we need to have this activity analyzer to basically populate the database with all user personalization profiles. Now we are left with the contact us. So how we can solve that problem now? So now we have to rethink what we should do with the contact hotel forum. So today's problem is like, basically I explained it earlier, user has to contact the hotel, and then hotel staff will have to basically manually reply back. And this is not even our internal staff, right? This is the hotel staff. So we are not the hotel, we are basically the booking.com. And we can't do anything to help there until they reply back. So the future vision is like, we want AI assistant to basically answer this on behalf of the hotel staff. And that means users will be more happy because they will get, real-time or near real-time answers, and also more consistent responses. And how to do this now? That's the, I think, most important question. So to do that, I think we can see the pattern clearly now because we have been discussing these patterns. So we see that we have a lot of data, like documents, PDF, websites related to a certain hotel, right? The hotel will have this data. We have to give a way to the hotel so they can upload this information, this unstructured information, so that we can consume that information and index that in a way we can answer the user's questions. So that means we need a Retrieval-Augmented Generation RAG component. And that will help us to basically give accurate context-aware answers to the users. And that RAG will look like this. So hotel owners will basically come and upload their documents, policies, or they will point our system to their website, and then we will basically fetch those information, and our hotel info injection pipeline will, as I explained in previous session, go through all those information, parse it, clean it, chunk it, and then index it. And then we will have the indexed data in the hotel data, the new DB, hotel, so indexed hotel data, DB. And whenever customers are asking questions about that hotel, that specific hotel, we can basically fetch information on related to that specific hotel and answer that question. And now this is the final architecture. Now we have this new, there are two new components. One component that will help us to actually do the injection. So that will collect the information from the hotel owners and index that to the DB. And then we have the other component that actually go through this database and find answers. And our AI agent, whenever it want to know about a hotel-specific question, it just asks a question from our RAG. So it's not that, I mean, it's again, it's an integration, of course, but it's a kind of very special integration because now we can think of it as this agent is actually asking a question from this guy. It's not actually like it's trying to fetch the data and do it by itself. It's just ask a question, and our policy assistant will basically take over that question and find the answers and give a natural language response back to the AI agent. Okay, I think now Anjana will take over and basically go through how we can build this using the WSO2 integrator. Okay, let's welcome Anjana.
Yeah, you guys can hear me, right? Nice. Okay. Yeah, bad time to drink water. So yeah, as Nadheesh, hi. As Nadheesh mentioned, so now we have a concrete use case in your guys' head, right? So in this, I think we have like 50 minutes left. What we are going to do is we are going to try to build this hands-on, right? If you guys have any questions, feel free to interrupt at any time, no issues, right? So before we get into the actual implementation, we have to explain the tool that we are going to use to implement this, right? So let me introduce that tool a little bit, so because this tool might be new for some of you guys. So what we will be using is WSO2 Integrator BI. This is the next generation integration product, which is introduced very recently from WSO2, right? So the idea here is not to explain all the capabilities of WSO2 Integrator, but to focus on the AI bits a little. And as Nadheesh mentioned, using that to implement our use case and tell you how to do the AI transformation in your company like very correctly, right? So one of the key features about this product is that we support the seamless transition from low code to pro code and everything in between. So whatever you write in code, it will be rendered in the diagram. You won't lose anything. It won't be a black box, right? So we have such features, but again, we're not going to get into those. If you're interested in the product and if you want to get into very detail about it, if you want more details about it, feel free to talk to us. Attend more sessions. There are plenty of sessions on BI, right? So yeah. One more important thing is this is a product which is built in the age of AI, right? So what I mean by that is, so for a product that is releasing right now, we have two aspects. Even in our company strategy, we have code for AI and AI for code. So we have both aspects here, which what I mean by that is, as I think Malit mentioned, you can develop integrations using natural language, right? We have that capability, and then we have the capability for you guys to build AI applications for your enterprise use cases using BI as well, right? So that is one of the key areas that we are focusing, and when it comes to the product development, right? So and then bit of recap, right? So as Nadheesh mentioned earlier, back in the day, if we, let's say, I think like 5 years ago, right? If you wanted to, let's say I'm a platform like a booking company, right? If I wanted to transform if I wanted to add a single AI feature into my product, I had to hire a lot of data science engineers, right? I had to have like entire separate teams. So you have to have a lot of data. We had to start from data, right? We had to start from data. We had to have a lot of engineers who are data experts, build the models, right? For each feature, you have to build the model, deploy it, right? It's very annoying. Now is the time. Now it's more accessible than ever, right? So now there are very capable reasoning models, AI models up and running in cloud providers. We just have to connect to it, right? So that brings me to my next point. So this is becoming slowly but steadily. This is becoming an integration problem now. You don't have to treat it as like like earlier back in the days, it was a separate team's job, right? Now we can use the same integration developers that you already have, right? And create these amazing AI experiences for your products, right? So what WSO2 Integrator BI specializes in is we have first-class abstractions to build these kind of applications and the first-class developer tooling, because we made this with AI in our mind, right? So which is what we are gonna try to focus today. We're not gonna focus too much on the integration aspects of the product, but at its core, it's an integration product that specializes in AI, right? So with that out of the way, so as any programming exercise, right? Let's start with a hello world. Yeah, okay, this is what I ran earlier. I need to stop this. Yeah, so I already have the hello agent, right? So this is you can see the screen. There's no issues, right? Yeah. So yeah, this is an empty project, completely empty project. I haven't done anything, right? So what we want to do is we want to build a hello agent application, right? So all you have to do is you have to go to add artifact, right? Just like in any other integration tool, you will see like you can create automations, HTTP services, right? File integrations, event integrations, everything. But what I'm interested in here is none of those things, right? This AI agent part, right? So if I click that and I say I have to give it a name, right? I'll just call it greeting agent. Maybe I'll zoom in a bit. Yeah, sorry. So it's creating the agent. Yeah. So once it's done, you will see this pretty diagram, right, for the agent that we are building. So as of now, this is like very blank. I agree, right? But if you click on this, you can see you can assign a role to this, right? You can give specific instruction on what to do, right? And various things. And if you click on this icon, you will see you can select the model provider. Here, what we have is the default model provider from WSO2, but we can have OpenAI, Anthropic, anything, right? So the default, just to be clear, the default model provider is something that we provide. This is a service that we provide to get you started with our AI features, right? So this is essentially an OpenAI proxy for now. But so yeah, this is very helpful when you want to get started with the project and maybe debug, right? So I'm just going to use defaults. I don't want to do anything, right? So yeah, so I need to execute this particular command to generate the tokens which we require, right? So once that's out of the way, all we have to do is we can click on this chat icon, right? So and then you can click run integration. So yeah, what this will do is this will run our application, and you will see a surprise here in a bit, right? So I'm gonna, yeah. So now you see, right? We have this agent chat window up and running in the side, right? So what we can say is we can basically ask something, right? We can say hi, right? So it will respond with, if I zoom in, sorry, if I zoom in, it replied with, hello, how can I assist you, right? So it's this easy for us to create an agent with BI, right? You don't have to have any tokens. If you are programming this on your own, you have to create REST APIs, right? Here the API is already created. You have to create this chat window. You have to plug it in a front end, right, to check whether the agent is working as you expect, right? So if you have built agents previously, you will see how much this helps, because when we are building agents, it's all about iterative development, right? We need to see, okay, we need to continue a conversation to see where it goes wrong, how do we refine, right? So this prompt-driven development is, we are encouraging that here, right? So this is a very simple hello world, which is up and running within like several clicks. So yeah, I'm gonna stop the application for now. Yeah. So yeah, let me close this. And then, give me a second. Yeah. So if we go back to the slide, right? What are we going to build today, right? So Nadheesh already explained some parts of this, as in like the theory part of this, right? So what we are focusing on is three main components. The first one would be the user activity analyzer, which is what we used earlier. Basically, what Nadheesh explained earlier, right? So we already have some APIs on his the user's travel history, the reviews that they left, right? The interest of the user, everything in between. And so we want to convert that into a LLM-friendly personalized profile, right? So which is what we are going to do with first one. And then we have the hotel policy assistant, which is what Nadheesh explained on the RAG component, where you can chat with the policy documents of the hotel, right? And then we have travel plan agent, which is the main agent, which is responsible for coordinating everything and answering, right? All good, right? Okay.
We have to zoom a little bit VS Code.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Is this better? Cool. Yeah. So let's get right onto it. Okay. So yeah. So before I start, right, we already have some applications. So we have the hotel APIs, right? We have admin APIs. We have some external APIs which we want to talk to during this process. So I think Nadheesh mentioned in the first talk, we have this platform called Devant, which is iPaaS, right? So which contains, so the Devant is a platform where you can build integrations, you can deploy integrations, you can manage it, test it there, right, and everything in between. So so I have already, I have already deployed some of the especially the search API and admin APIs in the Devant Cloud Editor. This was released very recently, right? So those APIs are up and running. I'm not gonna focus on developing those applications because those already exist, right, in the enterprise. So yeah, and then so what I'm gonna focus is more on the development part. So if we go to our slide, right, what we want to do is, we'll figure out the flow here, right? So first of all, when you're writing any integration, we need to figure out the entry point of the integration, right? So this could vary very heavily depending on the enterprise architecture that you guys have at your enterprises. But so in this session, we are going to mainly focus on simplicity because of the time constraints, right? So in here, what we are going to use is automation, but this could be either a cron job, which can be executed, let's say, every day, right? Or this could be triggered from an event, right? So that doesn't really matter. But for now, what we are going to do is automation. So the flow would be like this. So we want to get, for a specific user, we want to get the booking history of the user in our platform, right? We don't want to, we are only using the data from our platforms. We are not using anything else. But so we know, right, if the person went to lots of eco-friendly places, we know, okay, this is what this guy likes. And if they've been to any other, let's say, if they prefer city-like places or business class places, we can figure it out by this one, right? So we know the past reviews that the user has left. So what we are going to do is we are going to take all this data and aggregate this into a specific format, right? And then what we are going to do is we are going to send that to the LLM to create the personalized profile, right? So once everything is done, we are going to add it to a database. So that's what we are going to do right now. So yeah, again, we have somewhat of a empty project here, right? Is it clear? Cool. So as you can see, I have done several modifications in advance. First thing is these types, right? So if you look at here, we have this thing called record, which this record is the structure that where we represent data, right? So we have a field called booking details, which will take this particular form, right? And you will see this nice little diagram mentioning the relationship between each record. So this is the ultimately what we want to do is we want to call the APIs and create this particular form of data, right? That's what we gonna do, right? So first of all, okay, I already created the types for that, and then what we want to do is first of all we need to connect our APIs, right? The way we do that in BI is by going to connections, right? From here you will see lot of like connectors which we have. But the search API, the hotel search API, or the admin API, that's not out there publicly, right? That's the API that we only know. So what we're going to do is we are going to add a local connector here. What we can do is we can give a open API specification, right? Which I have already prepared in advance, right? So we have the admin API, right? I'm going to select that open API specification and call this admin API, right? So what this do is this will create a local connector out of this so that we can access it easily later. I'm going to do the same thing for a, give me a second, for the search API, the hotel search API, right? So I'm going to call it hotel search API. Cool. So now we have two local connectors, right? Now what I want to do is I want to create a connection to this, right? So here what I can do is I can click on that, and then in configurable. So I already configured the URLs and stuff in advance to save time. So I'm going to point to the URL that I created, right? This hotel search API, yeah, and I'm going to click create. So as you can see in the diagram, we have one connection now. I want another one, right? So what I want is the admin API, and the service URL would be this one. Yeah. So yeah, okay. Now we have the connections already set up, right? Now what we want to do is, as I explained earlier, I want to talk to these APIs, and I want to get the data, aggregate them, right, and create this user activity type. That's what I want to do, right? So what I'm going to do is, so we have this feature called BI Copilot, which is what Malit introduced early on. So what you can do is, this is a Copilot for your, to ease up your developments. What you can do is, you can say what needs to be done, and it will get that done for you, right? So I already prepared a set of resources so that I can, not this one, yeah. Yeah. So what I'm going to say is, I'm going to say, oh wait, I forgot something. So what we discussed, right? What I need is automation. So I'm going to create automation from the project, right? So yeah, now I have automation, empty automation up and running, right? So what I'm going to say is, I'm going to tell Copilot, complete the automation to create the user activity based on the previous bookings and reviews. I know it's a very abstract thing to say, but since we already created the connections and the connectors, it already knows what these APIs are, right? So ideally, Copilot should get it done. So let's wait for some minutes. I hope it generates properly. So So this is what I think in previous session, if you guys were there, what Malit was mentioning. So the latency is a problem, right? So the way we, even for our code generation, the latency is a problem. So the way we got around with that issue is by streaming, right? So then user knows, okay, this is not stuck, right? So this is one concrete example on what we did. So it's still generating the code, right? No, no, no. So this Copilot is something that we provide, as in WSO2 provide, right? What this does is it will generate the code for the user to basically, if I were to do this manually, right, I have to write the logic to connect to that hotel search API, right, or admin APIs, and I have to data map those together, right? That's annoying, right, to do this within like this amount of time. So what I do is I ask the Copilot to do that for me, right? So it seems like it generated something, right? Ideally you should review the code it generates, but I'm going to trust what I build, and I'm going to add it to the integration. And then I'm going to close it. So as you can see, you have the diagram was modified, right? So I can maybe go into this one and see, okay, it fetches some bookings, right? It talks to admin client API, right? It gets reviews. It does everything. So I don't have to write this code now, right? I get the Copilot to do that for me, right? So yeah. Yeah, where were we? Okay, we were here, right? So, okay, I trust the Copilot did the job. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, okay, now we have the data structure which we want. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to call the LLM using, by giving this data, right? So the way we do that, so what we want to do is, this is the first pattern that Nadheesh mentioned. We don't want an agent here. We don't want a RAG here, right? What we want to say is, this is the data of the user, right? Make me a personalized profile. That's what we want to do, right? So to do that direct LLM call, what we are going to do is we are going to use the model providers. We are adding again the default model provider as I explained before, right? So, yep. Yeah. Okay, we have the connection for that created, and then what I'm going to click is generate, because this is not a chat operation. And here I have to give a prompt, right, for the LLM to do. So this is a prompt where we say, okay, like make me a personalized profile, right? But if you guys have any understanding with playing with prompts, it doesn't work that way, right? We need to be very specific on what we want, the structure that we want, and that's how we get an accurate response, right? So I already prepared a comprehensive prompt for this so that we can build it, right? So I'm going to copy and paste that. Yep. And the result, I would call this LLM response. The type I'm expecting is just a simple string. We support data binding as well, but for now we will just make a string, right? So
prompt you have the placeholder, right?
Yeah, I'll get into that. Yeah, in the prompt, thanks Nadheesh for reminding me that. So we have this placeholder in the prompt, right? What we say is we give like huge prompt saying, okay, this is all what you had to do. This is the categorization and what I want, right? And then what I say is, okay, analyze these hotel activities, and I point the variable here, right? So, yep. And then at this point, so we should have the generated LLM response. And then what I want to do is I want to store this into a database, right? So I already have a database up and running in Devant, right? So and it's configured to this integration too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect to that, right? So the way we connect to that is we have connections again here, right? We can select PostgreSQL. Here we can configure it, right? So I have the PG host, username. All these are variables which I configured in advance. the port. Yeah, that should be it. Right? So, okay. Looks like our integration is done. Looks like, right? Oh no, it's not done. I added the connection. Now I want to add it there, right? I need to write a insert query. So again, I'll copy paste the query here. So, okay, the variable name I copied was wrong. I'm going to point to LLM response, right? Which is what I want to insert into the database. Yeah. So, before I execute, let's check the database and make sure it's clean, right? SQL Server databases. Yeah. This is the table that I'm talking about. So the user activity tables, there's no entries here, right? So what I'm going to do is again generate the tokens which are required for the LLM, and then what I'm going to do is run this, right? Okay, the moment of truth. It's compiling. Oops. Okay, seems like it's running now. Let's give it a few seconds. Yep. Yeah, this is the API response which we got after aggregating. This is the aggregated response before we send it to the LLM. Yeah, seems like it executed without any issues, right? It's automation, right? It's like one and done thing. So what I'll do is I'll refresh this database. See, as you can see, we have for the given user John, right? We have some, we have the personalized profile generated. This is based on the format that I asked it to do. So as you can see, the hotel type preferences, right? Prefers eco lodges, mountain lodges, resorts, right? And so yeah, travel purpose seems accurate, right? Just like the demo that we did. Yeah, so this is the sort of personalized profile we are going to base off for now, right? We are going to plug this to the agent later on, but for now, this is our first workflow, right? So yeah, and so this is done, right? And then the second pattern is the reg pattern, right? So which is what we want to use when we want to the most common use case is if there's a knowledge base, and if we want to ask any questions based on that, right? That's the most common knowledge base for the use case for the RAG. So what we are going to do is, in our case, as we explained earlier, it will be the PDF documents which the user has uploaded while they're not the users, the hotels has uploaded when they sign up for the profile, right? So again, just like any other integration, this heavily depends on your enterprise architecture, the system, right? If you have, let's say, if you might have something with, you might have all the documents which you need in your computer, right? If that's the case, you can perform a bulk upload at a go, right? And then otherwise, maybe you have a more sophisticated environment where you have, let's say, file server, FTP server or something. And whenever something gets added there, you want to trigger this pipeline, right? So that's what I said, like integration platform is the place to build these AI applications right now, because integration already solves that, right? Event integration, file integrations, those are like bread and butter for us, right? So, so that's why, again, I'm saying integration is the way to go here, right? So we have several options to do this, right? One would be, okay, we have two pipelines here. One, ingestion, second retrieval, right? So what I'm going to say is, so ingestion, either if you have, let's say if you have a bunch of PDFs or something, what you can do is, we have several solutions. You don't even have to code. In Devant, what we have is, sorry, this is the code editor, right? In Devant, you have this ingestion pipeline where you can connect your vector databases, right? And then configure embedding models, chunking, and upload the files, and it will do the ingestion for you, right? This is one path which you can do within like 30 seconds, right? You don't have to write any code. You don't have to make any integrations. This is very easy, right? But if you want more customizability, right? If you want to trigger this off of a, let's say an event, right? Or FTP, right? Then you have to write an integration for this, right? Which is that is supported by BI as well, right? So I'm not going to build one right now, but I'm going to show you something that I built, just so that we can save some time, right? I have 20 minutes. So yeah. So if you go here, right? So if I show you my file directories, I have this folder called policies, right? Here I have a bunch of folders which are specific to a given hotel, right? We have this metadata and we have policies here. For each folder, we have this particular structure. Yeah. Okay. Right. So again, we have the metadata file and the PDF file, right? So I wrote this integration. I'll just read through the integration. So what we do is, again, read this particular file, right? And then what we do is, then we have to read this policies file, right? Basically for each file, each directory that are there in this directory, we are going to read the PDF file, metadata file, right? And then we are going to do something. I don't think this is something that we covered earlier. We are going to do something called metadata-based filtering in future, right? So the idea there is, we are ingesting everything that we have, in this case hotel data, right? We are ingesting everything that we have into one index, right? Let's say then it will contain, let's say if it's the query that we got was pet policies, right? If you ask about the pet policy, it might give you, when you ask about some specific hotel, it might give you the results from another hotel, right? To prevent that, what we are going to do is, along with the chunks, we are going to append this metadata. This can be hotel ID, hotel name, right? Something that you can filter from. So which is why we need the metadata here. But yeah, so we are going to read the PDS, convert it to text, right? And chunk it, as Nadheesh mentioned, and then ingest it, right? So yeah, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to show you the, so here what I'm using is Pinecone, right? Yeah, as you can see, there's no records here, right? So what I'm going to do is, again, generate the tokens for this project and then run this, right? So once this is done, I should have the chunks inserted into Pinecone, right? So okay, it's executing. Okay, one policy is done, right? Second one also is done, right? So while it's going, let's see. See, you can see it in real time. So so you can see the chunks, right? You can see the content, which is the chunk that we are uploading, which is what we want to, which is what's useful when we are in future when we are retrieving. But in addition to that, we have the ID and the name as well of the hotel, right? So this is the ingestion, right? So yeah, since this is done, I'm gonna, so yeah, this is a sample ingestion pipeline. Again, this can differ from case to case, right? So Yep. Then what we have to do is we need to move into the retrieval part. So this policy assistant is what's going to help me with that. But yeah, so I need to update VS Code. Yeah, so I already have a base project created again, right? So what I'm going to do here is, so again, what we are doing right now is what we want to do is to retrieve these particular data when a user comes and asks for a policy, right? So if they come in and ask, okay, what's the pet policy of this given hotel? This is the integration that should be triggered, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a function in BI, right, which is called, let's say, query policies, right? Or maybe we can say hotel policies to be more descriptive. So there are two parameters that we are going to take. The first one would be the type. What did I just type? Yeah. Type would be string, and the name would be the question that the user asks, right? The second one is the hotel ID. There's a reasoning for this, right? As Nadheesh mentioned, in our use case, there are two entry points for this. One would be someone goes to a specific hotel and then selects that. So then you are scoped in, right? From UX level, you are scoped into that particular hotel. We know the hotel ID then, right? And we want to query about that specific hotel. The second point is this particular rag can be pointed into the main agent. So then it can ask about, it has the capability to query all the hotels, right? So it will be a bigger part of the bigger story. So what we are going to do is we are going to have the hotel ID as an input there because of that, right? So it can return a simple string or an error, right? So yep, okay. We have the, again, flow up and running. Here what we need to do is the retrieval part, right? Yeah. So I don't want this suggestion. So, okay, the retrieval part. So what I'm concerned here is I need to retrieve from the vector database that is out there in Pinecone, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a knowledge base, right? From here, yeah, we have the option of connecting to in-memory vector databases, but no, I'm going to use Pinecone here, right? The service URL I already configured, and the API key already configured, right? So this is done. Again, I'll be using the default embedding provider, which is provided by WSO2. Thanks. So, yep. Yeah, we have the vector knowledge base created, right? So, and then what we want to do is we want to retrieve now. So here, okay, what would be the query, right? It will be the question that the user asks, right? And then what we want is this metadata-based filtering, right? So I already, to save some time, I already created the filtering function, right? So you can pass in hotel ID here. What this do is it will restrict it to the hotel ID basically. It will apply a filter to only search for that in that hotel, right? So we can create this. Okay, so at this point we have the chunks that we retrieved, right? Now what we want in RAG, we have Retrieval-Augmented Generation, right? What we want to do is we want to augment the query, right? So the way we have a block for that, right? We are going to select what we retrieved earlier. The question would be user's question again, right? And then we are going to save it, right? And then what we are going to do is, okay, now we augmented the query. Now what we have to do is we have to call the LLM, the generation part, right? So we already have the model created. I'm going to select chat in this case. We already have the user message, which is written by the augmented query. I don't need any tools here, right? So, yeah. So, what we are going to do is we are going to create a query, right? Now what we have to do is we have to call the LLM, the generation part, right? So we already have the model created. I'm going to select chat in this case. We already have the user message, which is written by the augmented query. I don't need any tools here, right? So yeah, now we have the chat response, right? Ultimately, we can simply return this response that we got from the chat, the assistant message, right? And then we can see the content, and we know for a fact there will be a response. So we are going to ensure the type. So yeah, this function is complete. The RAG pipeline function is complete. Now it's a matter of plugging this wherever we want. If you want to run this independently, let's say when you go to the hotel page, we can plug this in. If you want more agentic behavior, we call that agentic RAG, right? We can plug it to the agent as well, which is what we are going to do here, because then we can continue with the flow, right? But it's important to understand this can be a standalone piece without agents as well, right? So yeah, in agent here, we can click on this plus button and attach a tool, right? So in this case, it's a function, right? The function would be query hotel policies. So the tool name that I'm going to give is something like query hotel policies, right? That was my function name, so I'm going to append tool part into this, right? So this description is very important because this gets sent to the LLM. The tool name and the description is the most important things when it comes to the agent to figure out which tools to call, right? So I'm going to say use this tool when you want to query hotel policies, right? Ideally, we have to play around with this a lot, but I'm just going to wing it here, right? Yeah. And also, one more thing to notice, since we haven't so in this stage, I have hard-coded the hotel ID here, because in this case, we are not scoped in, right? We are scoped out, which is like we are in the agent level itself. So we are going to provide the hotel ID for now for the function. Yeah, before this, I need to generate the tokens again, just to be safe, right? I'm going to run integration. So this agent should be, for now, this should only be able to ask policy-related questions, right? Or it should be only able to answer the policy-related questions, right? What's the pet policy of the hotel? So when I say the hotel, it knows because I hard-coded it, but yeah. Yeah, so it's the same answer that Nadheesh got in the last presentation, right? So if you can see, I think I have the PDF which I generated from ChatGPT on the hypothetical hotel. You will see, where is it? Pet. Yeah, we have the information here, right? So yeah, so this is the retrieval pipeline of the RAG, right? So that's also done. We have 10 minutes only. Okay. So let's quickly move on to the agentic sample as well, which is the main one, right? Agent, right? So this will be the main interface for the user, where we in this example, whenever they go to the front end, this is what we will show. This is the main chat interface that we are going to provide to the user, right? So as of now, here I already have the tool that I created plugged in, right? I have tweaked the system message a bit as well. I'll get into that. So okay, it's time for us to add the tool. So we need to, okay, this is the most critical part, right? So we need to think, okay, let's say in the previous query, right? What they are going to say is, what the user is going to say is, plan me a trip to Sri Lanka for 5 days, right? But that's like the normal user query, right? People are not going to explain you like the whole thing, right? So to answer that efficiently, we need to think, what are the tools which we need, right? The first thing is we need to know what are the hotels that we have in our systems, right? We can't let the raw LLM figure that out, right? So what we want to do is we are going to connect to our search API endpoint. We are going to give access to the search API endpoint as a tool, right? That's the first thing we are going to do, right? So to do that, we need to create a connection for the hotel API. Oops. Right. Yeah. Yes. Data store for RAG pipeline, yes, it's the PDF files that the hotels uploaded when they're signing in. So it depends on the case, right? For the vector database, we are using Pinecone as the database, right? So we have several sources of data. Yeah. So, yep, search API, right? So we're going to call this hotel search API. So we have the hotel search API created, and then, yeah, okay, let's go step by step. So, okay, we have this API now. What we can do is we can create a connection out of this, right? We have the connector, we are creating a connection out of this, right? And the hotel search API, right? So, yep. Then what we are going to do is we are going to give the access to a specific endpoint as a tool. So we can press plus. So we are using a connection here, right? We already created the connection. So we have this is the endpoint, right? Get hotel search, right? So we are just going to plug this in, but we have to give a reasonable name. What we are going to say is search hotels tool, right? We can say always use, not sue this tool, use this tool to get hotel listings of the system, right? I mean, this could be a improved. So these are the query parameters that particular endpoint is going to take. I'm just going to tell the LLM to figure it out, right? Ideally, we should carefully select those, right? So, have 5 more minutes. Oh no. Yeah. Okay. So now this tool has the access to know what are the hotels that we have, right? Okay. What else do we need? We need user says, okay, plan me a trip, right? We need to know what the user likes, right? We can't just suggest something that they don't like, right? So what we want to do is, so remember we stored it to the Postgres database, right? We want to connect to that. So what we are going to do is we are going to create a small function to connect to that, retrieve from that database, right? So what I'm going to say is get from personalized profile. So the parameters would be will be the use ID, right? And okay, the return type would be string or an error, because what we want is the personalized profile, right? We don't need anything else, just a string is enough. So some issue with my clicks. Okay, we have the function, the new flow here, right? So what we're going to do is, again, okay, we need to connect to Postgres again, right? So remember, these are different projects that I'm switching in between, right? So what I'm going to do is quickly create a new Postgres connection. Host. Something seriously wrong with my clicks. User password, database, mindload, port. Yeah. So now we have the connection created, and then what we are going to do is we just want one row, right? We are just going to query it. So the way we do that is we just have to do a simple select statement, right? So yeah, notice this parameter. We are sending the user ID into the SQL query, right? So return type would be profile. I'll just call it profile. The return the variable name would be profile. The return type would be string, right? Yeah. So if that's done, all I have to do is just return. Right? This profile. That's about it. So yeah. So this function is done, right? Now then what I'm going to do is I need to plug this function into the AI agent, right? So you can see this get from personalized profile, right? Get the tool would be get personalized profile. Always, I'm just going to tell the LLM to always use this tool to get information on what the user likes, right? So that's about it. Yeah, so the tool is created, right? So we have three tools now, right? So then maybe if we want, let's say, Nadheesh talked about MCP servers, right? Let's say if you want to take weather into account while we are planning the itinerary, right? So I already have so you can connect to that specific MCP server to get that information without coding it here, right? So I already have an MCP server up and running, right? So what you can do is you can select here, say whether MCP, whatever, right? And then you can click selected, and then you can it will show you all the tools that are there inside of the MCP, right? And then you can select whatever you want, right? I'll just select one, right? So I'm gonna save this, right? So yeah, we are a bit tight on time. So what I'm gonna do is, so notice that this doesn't have the capability for the bookings as of now, but this should be within this particular set of tools. This should be able to generate the itinerary for us, right? So let's test that flow for now, right? Since we are a bit short on time. Again, configuring tokens and chat. So if you want to plug the booking part in, it's just a matter of adding the booking API as a connection and adding it as a tool, right? So like that, the flow is the same. It's just a different API, right? So it's compiling. Oh, and also I think the code is always up there on the GitHub. We will share the link. You can anyways like try any of these flows on your own. Oh, I forgot something. Remember I told you that we support seamless transition from low code to pro code, right? So in this one, I forgot to configure the MCP server, as this particular MCP server only supports HTTP 1. Right? Is it here? No, not here. Sorry. Yeah. If you look at the HTTP version, it's by default it's set to 2. But this particular MCP server only supports HTTP 1. That's something that I know because I tried it. So you can edit it in low code as well, or you can edit it in pro code mode as well. Whatever you do, it doesn't matter. The diagram and the code is always in sync, right? So, okay, it's running. I should get the chat window. Okay, here it is, right? So we'll do our usual query, plan me a trip for 5 days in Sri Lanka, right? So it's taking some time. If you look at the, okay, we'll wait for the response, and then I'll walk through the verbose logs, right? See, we got the response that we were expecting, right? Yeah. So if I walk through the logs just for a minute, it will be like, you will see, first of all, agent understands that, okay, I need to get personalized profile information. I need to invoke that tool to answer this query, right? It got that. Yeah. See, a bit clearer. I don't need this part now, right? So yeah, it invoked the get personalized profile with these parameters, right? And then the tool responded with this particular long personalized profile, right? And then it knew, okay, I need to search the hotels that are available, right? And it did that, right? And remember, see the parameters from the personalized profile. It inferred, okay, I need to go to Sri Lanka, right? And everything like that. And then after that, it got the available hotels, right? And then only it gave the trip plan, right? So in our complete implementation, we have the ability to check availability as a separate tools, booking to perform the bookings as well. But you cover the gist, right? So it's about adding more and more tools to add more capability now, right? So in here, yeah. So the prompts and stuff, some things I copy pasted because those are sensitive things that you have to refine and like adjust. So I prepared some things in advance, but this is the gist. Nadheesh, did I say anything? No, shall we conclude? Huh?
Finish it off, yeah.
Yeah?
You can finish it off, right?
Okay, cool.
We are running out of time maybe.
Cool. So, yeah. So we spoke about so many things, right? So to conclude, I think there are some, I'm going to make this very short. So today we implemented a very practical use case for a hypothetical organization, right? And tried to add some value using the AI features, right? We implemented that within, let's say, 30 to 40 minutes, right? So we did this using Ballerina, the WSO2 integrated BI platform with Devon's help as well on the editors and the databases and stuff like that. So yeah, so I think there are few key parts. I think Nadheesh also covered this before. There are few parts that are missing. So here we didn't get, even in the demo previously, right? We didn't get the authorization from the user before making the booking, right? That's something that we have to do, right? Which will be covered in the next session, right? And also we don't want to give the agent too much power too. Now here we are giving admin, we are connecting admin APIs, right? So we don't want to do that. So that's where the agent identification comes into play as well, right? The governance and everything. We need to monitor everything what it does, right? We need to, if it goes wrong, we need to see, okay, how did it go wrong? We need to calculate the cost. For that we need governance. So after lunch there will be a session. I think Aisha will do that session. If you are interested in those, make sure to attend that. I think that was it.